In part 2 of our solution lab, you'll be making aqueous solutions of copper sulfate pentahydrate and then determining the concentration of the solution you made. The first part will be determining the weight percent. Weight percent is the mass of your copper sulfate. You'll be weighing out between 2 to 3 grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate divided by the mass of your solution. So a solution, again, is the mass of the solute divided by mass of the solute added to the mass of the solvent. So you'll have the mass of your copper sulfate pentahydrate, 2 to 3 grams, and then you're going to weigh out water and get the mass of that. So then you know the mass of your total solution. To make it a percent, you multiply by 100. The next part, you're going to make another solution. You're going to calculate the molarity of your solution. So in this part, you'll be weighing out 2 to 3 grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate, and you're going to be diluting it with water to a total volume of 100 milliliters. Now, molarity is moles of solute per liter of solution. So you weigh out your grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate between 2 to 3 grams, and then you're going to calculate the moles. So to go from grams to moles, we can use the molar mass of copper sulfate pentahydrate. And then we know our volume of our solution will be in milliliters. We measure in the lab, we can convert that to liters. Then you're going to take your solution from part B and you're going to dilute it by adding water to the solution. So you're going to calculate the concentration of your diluted solution. We can use the dilution formula to calculate that, which is M1V1 equals M2V2. M1 is the concentration, is the molarity of our concentrated solution, which we calculated in part B. So you're going to use this same solution. You're going to take 25 milliliters of your concentrated solution, and then you're going to dilute that with water to a total volume of 100 milliliters. And that way you can calculate the molarity of your dilute solution. To make our solution for part A, we're going to start by weighing an empty, clean, dry 150 ml beaker. To that beaker, we're going to add 40 mLs of deionized water. The volume doesn't have to be that exact because what we care about is the mass of the water that we'll be using to calculate our mass percent of our solution. So you'll record the mass of the beaker plus the water, and then you can calculate the mass of your water by just subtracting the mass of that empty beaker. Now our solute in this part is our copper sulfate pentahydrate. So we need to weigh that out. So first we're going to weigh our empty weighing boat. It's about 2.8 grams. We want to weigh out between 2 to 3 grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate. So we'll add to this. We're at 2.8. So we want to have at least 4.8 to about 5.8 grams. Okay, so 5.2 is within our range. So we have 5.223 grams of copper sulfate plus the weighing boat. So again, you would subtract the mass of the empty weighing boat to get the mass of our copper sulfate pentahydrate. Now we're going to make our solution. So we have our water measured out. We know the mass of that. And then we're going to add our copper sulfate pentahydrate solution to our water. Now we have, after mixing, an aqueous solution of copper sulfate pentahydrate. Once our solution is completely dissolved, now we can go ahead and calculate the mass percent of copper sulfate pentahydrate that is in our aqueous solution. For part B, we're going to make an aqueous solution of copper sulfate pentahydrate. We're going to start by weighing our empty weighing boat, and then you're going to weigh between 2 to 3 grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate to that. So we have 2.8 grams. Okay, so I have 4.916 grams. So I can calculate my mass of copper sulfate pentahydrate by going ahead and subtracting the mass of that empty weighing boat. Now we'll add our copper sulfate pentahydrate to our 100 ml volumetric flask. And then to make our aqueous solution, we need to add our deionized water. As I said, our total volume is 100 mLs here. So usually what I do is I fill the flask about halfway so it's easier to mix, and then I swirl it to mix what I have in here. And once that's dissolved, then I'll fill up the water so that it goes to the mark on my volumetric flask. So once the copper sulfate pentahydrate is dissolved, we can go ahead and add more water using our funnel, of course, because that makes it much easier so we don't spill. Yeah, fill it up a little bit more. Swirl our solution around while there's still space in there. Add some more water. And then once you get into the neck, the skinny part of our flask, the water is going to be adding, it's going to appear to be adding much quicker as you go up. So what I recommend to do is when you're getting to the point where you want to record the total volume here, is we have an etching on our glassware. It's right here, and the bottom of the meniscus needs to touch the top of that line. So to be a little bit more controlled, I'll use a water bottle and I'll go in drop by drop, and again I want to be checking this at eye level so that I get exactly my 100 mLs in there. And then to do a thorough mixing of our solution, put a cap on. And now we've made our aqueous copper sulfate solution. For part C, we'll be making our dilute solution of copper sulfate pentahydrate. We'll begin by transferring our concentrated solution, which is from part B, that you'll calculate the molarity. You're going to transfer that into a clean, dry 250 ml beaker. And then we're going to measure an exact quantity of the copper sulfate pentahydrate. We want to measure 25 ml, so we'll pour that back into a graduated cylinder. Again, you want to measure this at eye level. And our graduated cylinder reads to 1 decimal place. So if I get the bottom of the meniscus exactly on the line, then I would call that 25.0. If you're a little above or a little below, you just want to make sure you record your exact volume. Now we're going to be transferring it back into our volumetric flask, but I want to go ahead and rinse that out first so I don't have any concentrated solution left behind. So I do a little bit of a rinse here, dispose of the copper sulfate. Now I'm going to pour my concentrated solution back into my volumetric flask. Is at that 100 ml mark. So I can go ahead and kind of fill it slowly, quickly at the bottom portion. Maybe swirl it a bit so you know it's well mixed. And then once we get into that neck area, we will go ahead and use our wash bottle. Okay, so the bottom of the meniscus is touching the line, so we have exactly 100 mLs of our dilute solution. So we can compare the colors here of our concentrated and our dilute solution. So now you'll be calculating the molarity of the dilute solution you just made.